quite often one of the things I see in transactions is there may be some golden handcuffs. There may be a period during which the original owners may still be required to contribute or be involved. The handover of relationships quite often with key suppliers, with key clients, some of those things. So, sometimes, and I'm curious from your experience, sometimes there's an expectation of some level of continued involvement for whatever period, but not just for the owners though, but also for some of the key second tier leadership, as you talked about. What are some of the experiences and expectations around that?
Yeah, sure. Well, a couple of recent ones that we were involved with. One was the owner wanted an X times multiple for the business, and the buyer was only prepared to pay an X minus. So there was a bit of a gap there. And what was negotiated was that the difference in the multiple, and it was a one-time multiple difference, was the acquirer was prepared to pay that on an earnout. So basically, what that did is the owner of the business and the CEO of the business agreed to stay for another 2 years. And if certain benchmarks or financial performance are hit over the next the next 24 months, they would get that one-time multiple paid out as a bonus. So that's one way that it was handled. Another one was handled that they definitely wanted the owner to stay around because of those things like relationships, and whether it be on suppliers, with employees, with customers, with the expertise around the product, all that type of thing. And an agreement was put in place. The owner didn't want to stay working in the business full time, but they basically signed what we called an ambassador agreement, where they were given a retainer for a 2-year period, and they agreed as part of the sale of the business and the contract around the sale of the business that they would be available for a 2-year period. They would be paid X number of dollars to answer the phone, as well as meet with clients when necessary, and attend a few meetings and that type of thing. So it was basically, we called it an ambassador agreement. So that's what we were able to negotiate on that one. So that's 2 real examples that have happened recently.
And if you wanted to avoid those kinds of agreements, essentially you would have to have the system or the business being able to function very effectively on its own without your presence, correct?
That's true. And again, that's one of the reasons why somebody's prepared to pay a premium on the business when an owner can say, listen, I'm only here 2 months of the year running my business. The other 10 months I'm in Mexico or Kamazal or wherever, at my home down there, and I just check in once a week with my management team. We know at that point that there's a really, really strong team running this business, and they have all the relationships. It's not the owner anymore, and that's worth something.
That's actually a really good comment. It's your comment about they own the relationships rather than the owner, and once you get to that stage, that adds significant value to a business.
Yeah, I can give you a real life example. I looked at buying a business a number of years ago, and it was a really good sized business, extremely profitable, with margins that were just would blow your mind. It was so well. But there was one person in the business who owned all the relationships, handled all the sales, with the suppliers, everything. It wasn't a huge business, but it was extremely profitable. And what I because sort of on the upper end of a small scale business, I'm just trying to remember, it was probably in the $30 million range, I think $30 to $40 million in revenue. And we at the end of it decided to walk away from that business because the owner wanted to step away and retire. And we knew that the business was him, and that's with him. Without him there, we basically were in a very high risk position of all of those customers just going wherever, and the business would blow up on us in very short order. So yeah, we decided not to buy that business, and I don't think it ever did get sold.
In my experience with the organizational evolution change work that I've done, that's kind of one of my signs of success, because I find quite often when I've started working with companies, it's because they've stagnated, they've hit a wall, they've hit a ceiling, and they're stuck. And the only way we get them unstuck is it's usually the owner or the founder who is that ceiling. They're the limiting factor in their own businesses. And when we get them to realize it, and the ones who are mature enough and motivated enough to be open to change, when they do, what we find is it over a period of time, as they empower and build and develop their second leadership team, as you describe them, that we've really hit success when they get to the point where the team has taken over all those responsibilities. And I find there's usually a period where the CEO says to me, I don't know what my job is anymore.
Yeah, and that's a good position for him
Because
to be
everything's
in.
being taken care of. And I know when we hit that stage, then we've really kind of accomplished the big goal, because at that point, the team is actually doing things better than the owner was. And I can think of at least 2 or 3 clients where we've been able to hit that. And, the companies have grown by an order of magnitude, a tenfold, from a 5 million to a 50 million, from a 10 million to 100 million. But it's been because they've actually empowered that team, taken that step. And that's, to me, like you said, that's when you get the big multiples, because, that's something that you buy, and you're just going to make it better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We often say that the CEO's number one job is to make themselves obsolete, and that is so true.